How to create question in BrainHack app. Creating question in BrainHack app is pretty simple and straightforward. All the questions that you're gonna create in BrainHack app is totally depends on what you are reading and what you want to remember. So you can create as many questions as you need to understand any concept that you're trying to learn. So of course we will look at it with few examples. So we will have 3 examples with 3 different learning sources that will help you to learn how to create question and to learn better. So what are the 3 different sources? These are the sources which we generally use in our day-to-day life to learn something. And the number 1 is books, the general books. The books like self-help books, biographies. I usually like these books. I get to learn a lot of things from these books. So these general books. And second is articles. Any articles, blogs that you read on internet, and even the social media posts. Of course, I learn a lot from social media posts as well. So say for an example, there are very good accounts where I find a good quote from entrepreneurs and some good stories about the startups and some businesses, some finance, economics. So I learn from them also, and even watching videos from YouTube and any other random things that you find on internet. And the third one is your subject notes, like say for example your school notes, your college notes. So let us start our very first example of reading a book, and let's see how we learn by reading this wonderful book that I have in my hand. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So I usually create a lot of questions. I learn a lot of things from such books. So I have to create a lot of questions that are important, that is important for me to remember. So let's start with an example how we can create questions and learn from this wonderful book. Before we start making questions to learn from this book, we have to have a book in our app. So we first create a book with the same name, How to Win Friends and Influence People. So let's go and create this book first. Now open the BrainHack app. Now in the app you can see at the bottom right corner an icon. So click on that icon. It will ask you to create your first book. So name your first book. So in this case it's How to Win Friends and Influence People. So we write that name. So we create our book. So now we click on our book, How to Win Friends. So now we are in the book screen. Now you can start creating questions. So now again at the bottom right corner you see the icon. Click on that icon. So this is the screen, and at the top you can see different question starters like what, where, when, why, who, and how. So these different question starters are called 5W1H. So this is the method that helps you extract a lot of information from whatever things that you are learning. So I'll make a separate video on this explaining how we can leverage this method to learn any concepts better. So let us create our first question of this book. So say for an example, who is the author of this book? So I click on who. So it sets your question starter with who. Now I enter the middle part after the who, like who is the author of this book. So I write the answer, Dale Carnegie. And as you can see, the bullet points comes automatically. So you do not have to worry about your answers. All the answers that you write will be in bullet points, and the question starters will help you to extract the informations, the right information that you need to know and that you need to remember. And you click on save. Now there we have our very first question. who is the author of this book. And you can also look at your question and answer in your notebook view. So at the top you can see a notebook icon. First from the left, click on that icon. Now here you can see all the question and answers in your notebook view. So it gives you a feeling of having all your questions and answers in your own notebook, in a notebook field style. And you can also let this notebook to read out for you. So you click on the play button at the top.
1. Who is the author of the book? Answer 1. Dale Carnegie.
You can also change how voice should sound. So I usually prefer to set the voice to match my own tone. So you can go to the settings, select different countries, origins, accent, have different voice settings, different voices that's available for you, and you can also change the speed of the voice or even the pitch to adjust to match your voice. So now we have learned how to create questions and answers in a book. So let us see some more features that will help us while we are reading a book, such as how to win friends and influence people. So as we know, in any books there are different chapters and there are different sections or parts or different stories within the chapters. So exactly like any book, you can create different chapters within the book and different sections inside the chapters. So this helps us to organize all our questions and answers according to the book, according to the chapters, and according to the different parts of the chapters. This makes it very easy for you to review any part of the book anytime. When you know which questions and answers belongs to which chapters or sections, this makes it damn easy to remember all your notes. Because app has a feature to test your recall memory specific to the sections, chapters, or even a whole book. So you can conveniently test your memory specific to the part that you like to remember. I'll show you how the app's recall memory test works later in the video. That works to improve your memory and lets you never forget any notes that you have created within the app. Let me show you how I take notes while I'm reading and trying to learn from this book so that I can remember every important things about this book. So let's go to the index page. So here is the index page. Here, as we can see, there are two different main parts, and within these parts there are different sections or chapters. So we'll assume part 1 as a chapter. So we'll create a chapter name called part 1 or fundamental techniques in handling people. So for this example, I'll create a first chapter with the name part 1. In the book screen at the top right corner you will see the option to create chapter. So as we have said, we will create a first chapter called part 1. So we'll create another chapter, part 2. So I have created two chapters. So let's go to chapter 1, part 1. So here I can create a question as what is the title of part 1. So the answer is fundamental techniques in handling people. So I want to remember this chapter's name, so that's why I created this question. I'll show you later how apps help me to remember these answers. So now let's create our very first section in the app, part 1. So to create the section, go to the top right corner and you will see the option to create section. Now enter your section name, which is the big secret of dealing with people. So I create the section. So now you can see that I have made a spelling mistake, but you can easily correct it, and you can see there is an option to rename and delete. Now any question that you will create within this section will belong to the specific section, the big secret of dealing with people, so that you can easily review the notes of this section. So let's go to page number 18 and see what we can learn from this topic and create questions accordingly. So let me show you how I take down notes in question and answer format that I feel is important for me to remember. So in the first para itself, I find an interesting thing that I would want to remember. It reads, there is only one way under high heaven to get anybody to do anything. So I can ask question like, what is the only way to get anybody to do anything? Now I know what is the answer that I will be looking for. So here I think this is the answer. So the answer is by giving you what you want. But I'm still not convinced with the answer. I have to read more to understand. So here I have one interesting quote. I'll create a question. So I'll create a question as what Sigmund Freud said. So my answer will be we do everything with two motives, sex urge and desire to be great. So I feel it's very interesting and I want to remember. So that's why I'm creating these questions. So here another question is, who is America's most profound philosopher author mentioned in the chapter? So John Dewey. Now you get the idea how you learn and make questions out of your read. Similarly, after reading 2 pages of the topic, you also have option to make questions like write summary of the secret of dealing with people. This type of questions will help us to create a brief idea about the topic, and also the questions like what's your learning, to put down what you learned, and this question helps us to put the learning in our own life with our own examples. By doing this, by asking lot of questions, we make simple passive reading into active learning by involving ourselves. You can anytime go and test your memory how well you can recall notes. You may not realize, but slowly this app transforms your passive learning habit into active learning habit. And you start to enjoy learning and remember what matters to you most. Now go and try it for yourself and start learning how to learn and enjoy a new memory power.